Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a video about the latest aRPG that people have been poking me about for almost a year now, Undecember. I've logged about 15 hours of Undecember at this point, so in this video we're going to give an overview of the major game systems in Undecember, how a character build works, how skills work, itemization, crafting, and monetization. We're going to thank Line Games for sponsoring this video. If you want to try out Undecember, it's free to play, link in the description below. And as I log more hours into this game, I'm likely to have another video in the future with some final thoughts. Undecember is available on PC and mobile. I should mention the game is rated 18+, and it's got seamless crossplay between mobile and PC, and also has controller support. And within your first couple hours of playing this game, you realize this is a hardcore action RPG. You see echoes of games that came before it. A little bit of Diablo, a little bit of Path of Exile, a little bit of Grim Dawn, a little bit of Lost Ark, and then it goes off and does its own thing. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. I'm going to talk about the skill system a little bit later. It's got a really interesting take on a skill system. It's something I have not seen in any other game. We'll leave you with that teaser for now before we return to that later on. Also, while this game is available on mobile, there is no autoplay feature. This is a real game. And the first thing that you'll notice as you create your character, there's no class to select. This is a game without classes. You effectively build your class based on what weapons you take and what skills you select. Certain skills can only be used by certain types of weapons, so that sort of builds your class along the way. But this gives you more freedom, for instance, to be a spellcaster wielding a sword and shield, or be an archer with a bow that's able to summon minions. Now, one thing I like to do when looking at an aRPG is think of it from the point of view of, if I were to make a build guide, how would I go about formatting that? How many different things do I have to explain? What goes into a build? And that kind of leads to how much build diversity is there. So we're going to walk through the different things that go into a build in Undecember. And again, this is through the lens of still an earlier game experience. So the most basic thing is the skills that you select. Now, you actually have two hotbars that you can cycle through. You hit Control and you cycle through your hotbars. You can have access to a full 10 different skills. Now we hit K to bring this up again. This menu right here, this is the most unique thing about Undecember, but we'll come right back to that. So first, the skills themselves. My main skill is Frostball. It's got the tags Spell, Strike, Cold, Projectile. Different skills will have different tags, and this has ramifications based on what support skills, aka runes, you're able to apply. Then on my R, I have Teleport for mobility. I have Summon Fire Orb Abyssling. This is just for a little extra DPS. This is for having some summons out, tank some hits for me, but for the most part, this is something that I'm going to move out of the build as I eventually run into better options. We'll explain how you get these skills in a moment. Now, a new addition that I've just worked in is Release Element. This effectively gives me a temporary buff to my elemental damage, works very well with my overall DPS toolkit, which is all elemental based. Then my heavy hitter is Lightning Typhoon. This basically shoots a lightning tornado, and in fact, all you gotta do is click this little play button here to see the skill. This is a great feature. You don't have to invest into a skill without realizing what it does. Now on my alternate bar, I have Cold Armor. This is just so that I popped my alt bar, I turn on my cold armor, and then I'm back on my main. I also have, however, Frost Shock. This is basically a Frost Nova, but I am not triggering this. This is going to be triggered by my Lightning Typhoon. And this is thanks to a special rune that I've attached to Lightning Typhoon that will then trigger another skill. And you can do this with pretty much any skill. You can have skills trigger skills, which is a really cool system. Now you're going to get skills not by leveling up. As you complete quests, you will be rewarded with certain skills or be able to select from certain skill rewards. But otherwise, every act has a town, and every town has a rune shop. So you can purchase your strength-based runes, your dexterity-based runes, your intelligence-based runes, and then your support runes, your link runes. Now coming back to our menu here, what are link runes? Well, right here, Lightning Typhoon is the main skill rune, and then these runes around, these are the link runes. So here, for instance, spell damage increase, very straightforward. This one here, Find Weakness, You note that it could only be linked with strike skills, so again, the tags are important, and it gives me higher crit rate. And then the really interesting one here is the spell activation on spell hit. This comes with a specific direction. So the arrow is pointing a certain way. So we put it here, the arrow is pointing towards the lower left, and then we put Frost Shock. So because the arrow is flowing from top right to lower left, it means that the Lightning Typhoon, when it hits an enemy, spell hit, then it triggers a Frost Shock. So I'm standing where I am, I shoot out my tornado, it whirls, whirls, whirls. When it hits an enemy, then it's going to Frost Shock into the group of enemies around it. Over here, my Frost Ball, I've attached multi-shot, so it's actually shooting 3 Frost Balls instead of 1. I have Quick Cast, that gives me faster attack speed. And you'll notice you can link the same rune to multiple different skills. And it's all about how you fit it within your little hex here. You have probably intuited it by now, but you can see that you need to have the right configuration of links on a certain skill. So I have a blue link on the left, I have a blue link on the lower left, and a green link on the lower right. Now, you can customize these. This comes into crafting. So at this merchant here, we go to the Rune Enchant option. Let's put in our Frost Ball, and you have different crafting materials. This game has a lot of different crafting materials to craft on different things, but this one here would re-imbue randomly the number of links, the slots. So typically if you're going to purchase a skill, it comes only with 1 link. When you get them via quest rewards, they tend to have more. But if you only have 1 link, well, you can use this Rune Birth Essence to try to randomly get more. Then this one here will randomly reassign the link locations, because maybe you need it to fit into your honeycomb in a certain way, and you want to rearrange the links that there are. Then you can also change randomly the colors of the links. Again, in general, blue is intelligence, green is dexterity, and red skills and red links are strength-based. There's a whole host of other options here to further enhance, customize, empower these skills. You can also note that my Frost Ball is blue. That's because it's magic. Release element here, I just got it. It is normal, but you can continue to further empower your skills. And again, this all ties into the crafting system. You can also see that my Frost Ball is level 10. My release element is level 1. That's because we go again now to Rune Growth, and this is where you would go to upgrade your skills. You will get materials that you can register here in order to add XP. You can see this little bar filling to further level up your skill. So that's how you upgrade your skills. It's not just by using them, it's just by going around in the world killing monsters. These materials will drop, and then it's your choice how you want to allocate them to level up your skills. Some skills you're going to want to keep at level 1. It's not necessary. But your main skills, of course, you're going to want them blasting with the most damage possible. So skills is one vector of your character build. Another is this zodiac system. Now there's 2 parts to this. There's the basic one. Every time you level up, you're going to get some points to allocate here within either strength, intelligence, or dexterity. Now, this doesn't seem to be a game where you want to just blast one single attribute. In my case, I'm trying to balance between intelligence and strength. I'm probably going to put a little bit more into strength, get my health up a little bit more, but you can plainly see what all these things give you. Different gear is going to have different stat requirements, and we'll get to gear last. So this one is straightforward. Then every so often, not starting at level 1, I think it's starting around level 5 or so don't worry if you don't get these right away. You'll get these more interesting points to allocate into these constellations. And you start off by having to work with only the tier 1 constellation. You have a number to choose from. There's 3 different ones. They each do something different, so this is if you're a more attack-based build. If you're a spell-based build, well, this is where I want it to go. In these zodiacs, you always start at a moon. Sometimes there's more than one moon. And I could have carved out a different path through the constellation. This is the path I chose, maximizing my spell damage. This one here would be for minion builds. So once you've allocated a certain number of points into a tier 1 constellation, that's when you unlock the tier 2. And then similarly, to unlock tier 3, you gotta put more points, but they don't have to be in tier 2. It's once you have a total number of points allocated, that's when you unlock the next tier. So at some point I actually skipped tier 3 entirely. I think no, I have not rejiggered my build. I still don't have any points into tier 3. I went straight to tier 4. I've been working on 2 branches in tier 2. I might change things up here. I started to need some mana regeneration, so I put some points into the Wanderer over here. This here again is more minion, and then I just want a pure damage as well, and so on and so forth. Now, I suppose the final part of your character build will be the actual items you choose. So, most of my items here are the spellcaster items. They have barrier. There's 3 basic classes of armor. You have your strength-based armor, you have your dex-based armor, you have your intelligence-based armor. Strength is going to give raw armor in greater quantities. Dex will give evasion, and intelligence will give barrier. So I'm mostly going for that. I believe there are hybrid items as well. Now, when we look at weapons, there's a little bit more nuance here. So I'm dual-wielding scepters. And if we look at the skills that I have equipped, all of them actually work with all weapons. However, I don't have the strength or dex requirements right now to wield bows or melee weapons. But not all skills can use all weapons. These strength-based skills require sword, axe, blunt weapon, or a staff. Quick slash here, either sword or axe. Illusion is all weapons. Shout of Terror, all weapons. Cross Lightning Arrow requires a bow. Illusion Strike requires a dagger. So your weapon choice is going to be a consideration when putting together your build. You can't just willy-nilly swap around, unless you're me, in which case you don't have any weapon dependencies, and it's going to be more based on, well, I don't really want to pump dexterity a bunch, so I'm going to avoid dex-based weapons. If your build uses a basic attack, mine does not, but if it does, then you might also care what your weapon is. But looking through the shop here, you can see that even these basic pieces of gear have certain inherent native affixes. This Traveler Staff, for instance, has plus 30% minion damage, great for a minion build, of course. This Scepter has inherent elemental resist. The Wand gives you more crit rate. So I'm likely going to eventually want to migrate to dual-wielding wands for that crit rate. Then when it comes to gear, there's a very robust crafting system with gear. It's going to look familiar to some players of what options you'll have here, but you can take a normal item, upgrade it into a magic item. You can randomly re-roll the magic item. There's just tons of crafting materials, tons of crafting options on ways to re-roll, empower, imbue your items. In fact, I'll bring up the crafting item storage here. So when you first get the game, you only have a general storage, your regular stash. You can then buy other specific gear tabs. So with real money, you can buy a currency tab, for instance. We'll talk more about monetization in a bit. And so here you can more cleanly see all the different options. This turns an item back to normal. This turns it to magic, to rare. This one is just random. It has a chance to make it a unique, legendary, and then the re-imbuing of the options. When they say options, they mean affixes. This here would allow you to add an extra affix. So a lot of gearing in this game is finding the right base item and then crafting upon it in order to get it to be where you want it to be. Now you might feel like I've thrown a lot at you. You might feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much in this game, it's overwhelming. They actually have on their website resources with links and explanations to all of these things for easy reference. Now we'll round up by talking about the game's monetization. So it is free to play, and there are MTX, obviously. So we look at the shop, what are the things that you can purchase? Well, for starters, you can buy the game's premium currency. But then as for the shop itself, let's see, the starter package, you can buy more stash space, some costume, cosmetics, grants 1 improved magic skill rune selection chest. So that means you're going to get a chest, you open it up, there's going to be a number of skill runes to pick from, and they will already be of magic quality. So a little boost there. Support package also has a crafting material that really helps out. You also get pet abilities. This is a quality of life, makes your pet pick up items. You can also buy bundles with resurrection scrolls, identification scrolls, potions, more stash space, various kinds of extra stash tabs. So that's in general the kind of non-cosmetic things that you can buy. Some of these crafting material type things are beyond the scope of my current comprehension of the game. It seems like it's a more later game thing, so I don't quite know the impact. But again, I'll likely have a follow-up video in the future with some final thoughts on Undecember. Now there's also the cosmetic shop. This is where you would spend your premium currency on, oh cool, various different cosmetics here. Separate chest, helm, different weapon effects, and you can also change the cosmetic for your town portal. Now, I'll close out by mentioning that there is an in-game event. You click the harp here at the top right. You will get launch celebration rewards. There's various things that you can do to just get free rewards, logging in and playing, completing certain milestones within the game. So if you are playing, do make sure you're not missing out on all of your free things. In fact, when you first start the game, you're going to have a little reward that you need to claim from your mailbox. So you're going to find the mailbox in the town. Make sure that you receive the reward that's being mailed to you. And again, if you want to check out Undecember for yourself, link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more aRPG content.